Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Foundation Level certification. We are in chapter 2 talking about testing throughout the software development lifecycle and continuing ahead with our same segment, that is 2.2 test levels and test type. And as a part of today's tutorial, we'll be jumping on to the next segment, which is 2.2.2, that is test types. And here we'll be understanding a lot of interesting facts and figures about testing. So let's look into that. So when it comes to the first test types to talk about, of course, here we are talking about the various different testing types, like what exactly are the different approaches which we can use throughout the testing in order to test our different parts of the application. Now, of course, how this is different from the testing levels, people do get confused, or when we say types of testing, like static and dynamic, are they different from this? Of course. The way we pronounce it, it may look quite similar to each other. For example, types of testing is static and dynamic, but when it comes to testing types, we talk about functional, non-functional, white box, black box, and whatnot, like retesting, regression testing, etc. So of course they do look similar to each other, but of course they are categorized differently. Static and dynamic testing are two different ways to test different parts of the application. Like static is more of review of documentation and dynamic is more of execution. But when it comes to execution, we have further testing types, that is white box and black box, and then our levels of testing can be categorized into functional and non-functional. So today in this particular tutorial, we are talking about functional and non-functional, and all we are trying to talk about is that how they are different from each other. The very first and foremost important thing here is that these two are the categories of levels of testing. I do have a number of different levels of testing. That is, if you just keep account, probably we'll get around 50 plus levels of testing, inclusive of very common levels which we know, like unit integration, system acceptance, system integration, component integration. And then if you jump onto the non-functional side, we do have performance, security, portability, usability, accessibility, recovery, failover, and whatnot. There are so many ways by which I can test dynamic testing. So the only thing what we want to convey from this particular topic is that these levels of testing can be categorized into two categories, functional and non-functional. Now, to talk about how do you differentiate between functional and non-functional, this topic will address all those queries related to that. So let's look at the functional first. When it comes to the functional testing is all about testing the core features of the testing, and the functions are what the system does. I think this is pretty much very, very easy to correlate that when you talk about any particular product, the base functionality, the core functionality, what you have to offer people. For example, if I talk about Google Pay is an application which allows you to transfer money from one account to another account. No matter you're making a bill payment, recharging your cell phone, or you're just trying to scan a QR code and making a payment for any of your shopping, right? Altogether, all you're trying to do is transferring money from one account to another account. Now, features are offered here like, bill payment, recharges, and all other, etc. And those are what we call it as the core functionalities of a product. Similarly, if I talk about booking a flight or things like booking.com, making my trip, yatra.com, these applications base functionality or core functionalities to allow people to search flight, book a flight, cancel a flight, modify a flight, web check-in. So all that menu option, what you see is the base functionality. As far as I'm able to complete this, I can talk and say that my system is functionally ready. Makes sense, right? But when it comes to testing them, I just call it as functional testing. So testing the core functionalities, what the system is expected to do. The word what means the base features, the core functionalities of the product, without which it is not at all an application, is what I call it as the functionality of the product, and testing that is called as functionality. So some of the common functional levels or very standard and specific functional levels are unit, integration, system, and acceptance. And as a sub part of that, you have component integration and system integration. For your kind information, these are the only functional levels, and everything else other than this, what you know, are called as non-functional level. So let's talk quickly about the non-functional levels also and try to understand what exactly non-functionality on other side is. So when it comes to non-functional testing, of course, non-functional testing is about enhancing the quality characteristics of the system. And here, the non-functions are how the system works. Now, that's a very common thing to understand. There is other part of the application. Of course, an application does not succeed in the market just with the base core features, that is functionality. I need to certainly top it up with a lot of quality characteristics like performance, security, usability, and whatnot. On a very high level, if I talk about a product being built and can be used only by one person, it does not make any sense today, right? But of course, my customer may demand that, hey, this product will be used by 10,000 people at the same time. So in that context, I'll go and conduct performance testing to make sure that when 10,000 people are working simultaneously, it does not crash and the response time remains the same. Same way, if the customer says, hey, I also want to make sure that this product is highly secure when it comes to the sensitive information or the PII, that is personal identification information like phone number, email ID, and address, etc., then I need to conduct security testing. However, security is not limited to that. Even protecting against hacking and unauthorized accesses of data is also called a security testing. So, but this is a top-up. Without security also, the product will function well. Same way, without performance testing also, a user can go ahead and use the product. So these are add-ons. It's not necessary and mandatory to conduct for every single application, but if you conduct today, you are defining quality by doing non-functional testing, right? So that's the reason the alternative name for non-functional testing is also quality characteristics or quality characteristics testing. So similarly, there are many other levels like user friendliness. If you want to test, you have usability. If you want to make sure that this product is accessible to differently able user, like color blindness and readability, the font, etc., you put it into accessibility. If the product can be ported to different platform, you talk about portability testing. If the product can be integrated to another product, interoperability testing. So similarly, there are different levels we have which we conduct here, and some of them have been listed on the screen. So we have some of them included as performance testing, stress and load as a part of performance itself, then usability, maintainability, reliability, and portability testing. But that's not the whole thing. However, I told you we have 50 plus levels, so there are many non-functional levels for different quality characteristics. At the same time, you do not have any non-functional testing levels in our syllabus, so you don't have to even worry about their naming conventions or definitions to remember or answer them in the examination. So just ignore that, and that is all enough to take care of it. So today we just covered functional and non-functional. In the next session, we will try to talk about the other two topics, that is white box, black box, and retesting regression. But I'll just try to see if it takes longer. I'll take more time to give you separately so that you have a good understanding and knowledge all about it. So that's all from this particular tutorial team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video, team, and happy learning.